The Democratic Alliance in Gauteng is picketing outside the Tembisa hospital today. They're calling for the suspension of the CEO, Dr. Ashley Mthunzi, over allegations of financial mismanagement. Our reporter Tshegohaco Moagi is there for us, and she joins us now for the latest. Tshegohaco, good morning to you once again. It's important to perhaps bring some of the issues that may or may not surround the suspension of this CEO, and one person's name that comes to mind who has been part of media reports, a very intense media reports lately, Babita Deokaran. That's the whistleblower who was assassinated, and it is alleged that part of what could have possibly contributed to her death was her flagging the suspicious contracts that were being issued at that hospital. The CEO's signature surely would have been among those contracts that were issued there.
Correct, Polly. Good morning to you once again. So that is exactly what is being alleged, that the CEO of this particular hospital, Dr. Ashley Mthunzi, that he is the one that allegedly signed on the dotted line of about 200 companies that actually received some monies of work that allegedly was not done by those companies, and the work that they were supposed to have done. As you've mentioned there, the murdered Babita Deokaran, the whistleblower around this particular hospital, speaking about the issues of this hospital. Babita Deokaran allegedly actually gave this information to the relevant authorities about the possibly fraudulent contracts that were signed by the CEO of this Tembisa hospital. But as you can see, Polly, the members of the Democratic Alliance have gathered here outside the hospital ahead as they picket here, calling for the suspension of the CEO. And these are just some of the placards that you are seeing here that my colleague Senzo Mashobo is showing you this morning. And we're just going to get then obviously a bit more information from the DA, the DA's Jack Bloom, about this situation and why they are picketing outside here. Jack, thank you so much for your time this morning. Just give us a bit more details about your picket this morning outside the Tembisa hospital.
Well, it's been nearly 3 weeks since we've had the first evidence of massive corruption at this hospital, and it could be linked to the murder of Babita Deokaran. You're looking at hundreds of contracts for more than 800 million rand. They spent 230 rand on a face towel. They bought 100 luxury armchairs for 500,000 rand. Now, you would think that after 3 weeks, first of all, the chief financial officer would be suspended of the department because she failed to stop these payments even after Babita Deokaran said that they were fishy and they need to be stopped. But why are we here specifically at Tembisa Hospital? Look, it's a hospital where it's overcrowded, there's poor health care, patients are suffering, and they're wasting money on a massive scale. And, the chief executive officer, Dr. Ashley Mthunzi, we think should be immediately suspended, and we should have a proper investigation. But instead we get silence. And it's not acceptable, and that's why we're here this morning.
You mentioned the issue of silence that you are getting. Have you heard anything actually at all from the Gauteng Department of Health?
Gauteng Department of Health has said very little. You would think that they'd say we're going to suspend implicated people, we are going to do a proper investigation. Nothing. And I think that there are political issues at stake here because amongst the contracts, a senior ANC member on the East Rand got 3 contracts with 2.3 million rand. Who knows who else is implicated in this? I think this is a far bigger scandal. It reminds me of Life as Sedimeni, where in fact I asked questions in the legislature about the deaths. When they were revealed, Premier Makura didn't fire Dorothy Kwadani Mshlangu. He didn't fire her. She was in office for 4 more months. I see the same thing happening now. Why is the Premier so slow to act and take effective action? And that's why we're here today, because we want something to happen to honor the memory of Babita Deokaran, what she died for, and also to uncover the corruption that's here and spend money on the patients. not on, luxury goods, armchairs for who knows who at this hospital. This hospital is short of everything, and yet they've got money to waste.
Jack, do you know if any of the contracts that were signed off, if any of those companies actually did the work that they were supposed to have done?
Well, I'm having my doubts about whether they actually delivered their overpriced goods, and that's why we need an investigation. According to the evidence so far from the News 24 investigation, these are fake companies. So if they have fake companies, they've probably got fake goods. So who knows what was delivered? It's just a massive scandal, and the provincial government is failing as they've always failed in this department. People who suffer are the patients.
All right, thank you so much, Jack Bloom there. Just giving us details, Polly, about the situation here at Tembisa Hospital, and just speaking to us about the contracts that he says probably the goods that were supposed to have been delivered were probably not even delivered at all, and they are really calling for an investigation to take place of this hospital, the alleged corruption that has taken place here. But beyond that, he's also calling for the Premier, David Makhura, to also step in and investigate the alleged ongoings that are taking place at this hospital. Oli?
Tshegohaco Moagi, thank you very much for that comprehensive